thank you everybody for coming today to hear this great assembly that we're going to present for you in a little bit. And I just want to give you a little bit of a genesis of how we came to this assembly today. I want to thank our journalism class. Earlier this year, they brought us in, they brought the superintendent and myself in and said, hey, you know what, we would love for you to hold some principal chats to kind of find out what's going on with students at the school and see if there's some areas that we can improve. And we had a couple principal chats, and out of one of them, the students that you see before you today kind of came and were very concerned about drinking and driving at Tam High. And today you're going to hear of a personal experience from our students. And the biggest purpose of this is not blamed at all. We've all been at parties or at situations that might be somewhat challenging. The message from the school is obviously, do not drink. You're underage. This is abstinence. Do not drink. However, if there is a situation that you do find yourself in, we're asking that you come together as a school community and never let anyone get behind the wheel. Again, I want to reiterate the fact that this is not blamed. We had two students, two of our family members, have a challenging situation over the holidays, and you're going to hear a lot about that. Again, this is how do we as a community come together to make sure that this does not happen to any other member of Tam High. And without that, I'm going to turn this over to our students. They will introduce themselves and begin this assembly. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nick Goldman. I'm here to tell a story about when me and Connor got in the car. It was December 21st, really normal Mill Valley night. We had just left my Hanukkah party, filled with latkes and other Jewish treats, and we were went to Mill Valley. We were waiting for some friends who never showed up. And as we're coming back towards my house, a car almost pulls out in front of us, and we started joking about Connor's car. A 91 red Honda Civic, who everyone knew that was Connor's car. Big Supreme sticker on the back, and we were joking because a joke we made a lot was how unsafe the car was. The car had no airbags. The car had these seatbelts that when you got in the car, you did like this, and the seatbelts would just like automate on you, and they didn't lock. You know, they're old cars, they didn't lock. The car also had this waist belt on the side here that I put on, which I never put on, but I put it on that night kind of as a joke, like, haha, what if we got in a car crash? That would change our night so much. We were kind of laughing about it. We were kind of joking, like, oh, that would kind of be fun. Like, that would switch it up. Like, our night wouldn't be so boring anymore. So I put on the seatbelt, and we're driving past Tam, coming over right where Miller turns into Almonte, right by the Rosemont bus stop. And the thing I remember is the thought I've never had before. I'm going to get into a car crash. It was just a split second. Bang, I'm going to get into a car crash. And that happened when I saw the headlights that came into my lane. And after that, I kind of started waking up in the car, and it was really small. Everything was really, really small. I felt really claustrophobic. And the door was smashed in, Connor's door was smashed in, the windshield was smashed in, the front panel was smashed in, kind of all in my lap. I sort of had an idea what was going on. Really didn't really know though. And I look over at Connor, and we kind of start, our adrenaline's pumping, and it's really pumping, like really pumping. And we start laughing, kind of like, oh my God, that just happened. We just got in a car crash. And then that laughter very quickly started turning to, oh, we got in a car crash, oh. And then we see the police sirens come up, and they're at our window and tell us not to get out of the car. So we get out of the car because it's smoking, and I don't want to be there anymore. And we start making our way over to the side of the sidewalk, and my neck is in the most pain it's ever been in my whole entire life, and my whole body feels in pain, so I lay down, and pretty much my brain starts not remembering a lot of things, and I just look up at Connor, and the sight I'll never forget is my best friend, nose bleeding, mouth bleeding, sitting there with his arms down and just screaming, just thinking. It looked like he thought he was going to die, man. It just, the sight I'll never forget. And it's a sight I wish I never saw.
It was a night of winter break like any other. I was with Natalie Rousseau, Thomas, and my friend who was visiting from New York. We were on our way back from the Headlands, just passing the intersection in Tam Junction by Proof Lab and Subway. As we approached the bus stop across from Rosemont, I remember my stomach dropped. Coming around the corner, there was just a car positioned in the middle of the intersection, smoking like I've never seen a car smoke before. First, my mind went, oh my God, that's absolutely awful. And then, no, not Connor, please, not Connor. Seeing the car, how bad the damage was, you knew it was really bad. The type of crash that from first glance, anyone would have been lucky to get alive out of. The hood of that unmistakable red Honda Civic that we drove all over the place in, crushed, absolutely demolished. I've never seen anything like it. And knowing that Connor was in that car, I could barely sit still in my passenger seat. After finally pulling over, I saw them, sprawled out, squirming on the side of the road, Connor, and then I recognized Nick. My stomach dropped again. The police had already gotten there, and I remember them yelling at Nick and Connor for getting out of the car when they had asked them not to. I immediately went over to Connor to see if he was all right. Right as I reached out my hand to gently touch his back, he screamed, "Don't touch!" It was like he was in a whole nother world and had no idea who I was or that I was even there. His face was plastered with blood. He was rocking backwards and forwards and backwards over and over again, grabbing his stomach, wincing and moaning loudly about how much pain he was in. Nick stayed on his back, moaning as well and grabbing his neck. I remember him saying the words, "I think I broke my neck." The paramedics hearing this immediately got him a paralyzation test. Meanwhile, the firefighters made their way over to Connor, ripping the legs of his jeans open to make sure his legs were okay. At this point, everything got really real. The paramedics got the two on the stretchers and loaded them into the ambulance. In the distance, I saw the police giving the other driver a DUI test. It was over, time for us to go home, and I was completely unsure as to whether or not my friends were going to live. Getting back into Natalie's car to drive home was an awful, terrifying thing, and it reflected what the rest of my night was. I couldn't look at anyone, talk to anyone. I was stuck in my head, terrified, mortified of the dreadful possibilities of the world. I never wanted to drive again. That night, I truly wanted to sell my car because after seeing a car and my friends like that, I didn't see any point of driving. This was easily the scariest thing I'd ever witnessed, and it completely messed me up. When I woke up the next morning to hear that Nick and Connor were alive, it was relieving, but I knew they had gotten lucky. I remembered how crushed and destroyed the car was, how broken and banged up their bodies were, and I knew they had gotten lucky. And they did. 5 miles an hour faster, a bit different of an angle on the crash. These guys are dead. Done. That just would have been the end of it. We are here today to ask you to realize the seriousness of this problem. Drunk driving happened at Tam before this crash, and it has continued to happen after the crash. 2 kids from our school are nearly killed in a drunk driving accident, and still, I see kids, some being my closest friends, drunk drive every single weekend. It just doesn't make sense in my head, and for the health and bettering of our school's community, it needs to change. Please hear Nick and Connor's story, and from this day forward, promise your friends, your family, and yourself that you will never take that risk. It is a risk that is much bigger than most kids our age understand, and it's just not worth it. Because as you can see today, it really can mean the rest of your life. Please have fun with your friends, live your life, be free, but allow there to be a line that you'll never cross, and let that line be drunk driving. Protect yourself, everyone you care about. It's our responsibility. Thank you so much for being here today. It means so much to us. And please help us, please join us in getting Tam to a place in which there's an understanding between each and every student that no one will drunk drive. Thank you.
Like Ben said, I was in the car with him, Natalie Rousseau, and Lucas Hedges. I think it was 4 days until Christmas. It's very normal now, just driving back to Ben's house. And then we saw it. I was talking to Lucas in the back seat, and Ben starts saying, "No, no, no." When I saw the car, the first thing that came to my mind was, will the ambulance be here? I could see Connor and Nick on the side of the road, blood running from their mouths and noses. I remember thinking, why? Why did this have to happen to them? They were both on the ground, in just serious pain. Nothing that I've ever seen before. Lucas tried to ask me a question. I remember just not being able to answer. Words did not come out of my mouth. I was just praying to God that my friends would be okay. I'm here today because without this event, I see drug driving as a problem that will continue. It will happen with my class, just as it happened with Ben's. Once the cars will come, the DUIs will come, and the crashes will come with them. I'm here today because I want this problem to change, but I'm also here because I care for all of you. Even if you do not know me or do not care about me, I truly do care about you. And I do not want any of you to go through the same pain that these two went through. And lastly, I want this freshman class to go through TAM and be remembered as good, smart, and responsible. Freshmen, today I ask you to join me in creating a safe environment for everyone at TAM. Let's have each other's back, and let's put an end to drunk driving. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. For those of you who I know, hello, and for those of you who I don't, my name is Kalen. My role in the story picks up a little after the crash actually occurred. I went to sleep early that night because I had a military program I used to be a part of very early the following morning. I woke up around 1 a.m. to my phone ringing off the chain, texts, missed calls, FaceTimes, you name it. All generally have the same message. Have you heard? Are they okay? Where are they? And then finally, Connor and Nick have been in an accident. The car's totaled. I had no idea what had happened, and then I saw a picture of Connor's car on fire, and I thought my friends were dead. I actually thought my friends were dead. For a pretty long period of time between then and when I got to the hospital, I have never felt so much pain, sadness, or suffering ever in my life. Two people I loved so much were hurt and potentially gone forever. I was informed as I was arriving to the hospital that they were alive but pretty seriously injured and that I wasn't going to be allowed to see them, but I decided to go into the emergency room anyways and somehow was let through. I saw Nick's dad first, and the look on his face was enough to give me chills. He directed me to Nick's room where Nick was laying in his own bed, covered in his own blood, unable to move his head or really speak. He had lacerations across his chest and stomach from where the seatbelt had pretty much bitten into him. And that was pretty scary. I'd never seen anything like that. And then Nick tried to go to sleep, and so I tried to find Connor's room. And I also found Connor's dad, who then pointed me to where they were keeping him. And Connor was awake, and he was also covered in his own blood. His face to the left side of his nose had become level with his nose from all of the swelling. There was no definition on the left side of his face at all whatsoever. It was flat. There was blood pouring out of his mouth and his nose. His foot was cranked at a weird angle and covered in ice packs, and he was talking. And he didn't look like himself at all. For those of you who have had any similar experience like this, I'm sorry. And for those of you who have not, listen very closely. When you're holding your best friend's hand and they're in a hospital bed telling you how bad it hurts and how they're bleeding on the inside, and they ask you if they look okay and you don't know what to say. And when your friend looks at you through the one eye, he can completely open and says, "I'm so scared," when you can do absolutely nothing to help your best friends. That's when it sets in that this is not a joke. One of the doctors gave me Connor's earrings to hold on to in a little pillbox and told me that Connor and Nick would be moving upstairs for the night, and that visiting hours were over long ago. And that was really time for me to leave. I didn't sleep a second that night. I sat at my computer holding onto that pillbox, praying that tomorrow I would visit and my friends would still be alive and well. I wrote a post on Facebook immediately, as even though it was 4:30 in the morning, I was attempting to reach as many people as possible, as fast as possible. I'm here today for the same reason I wrote that post, to attempt to reach as many people as possible, as fast as possible, regarding this horrifying thing that occurs so often, and to attempt to share with you the amount of pain and suffering this accident brought my friends and I. I hope that after hearing this story, you will never, no matter what the circumstances, drive drunk or let a friend drunk drive. I will leave you with this. It can happen to you. All of you. You can be that person saying some cheesy anti-drunk driving slogan on the radio or the TV. You can be that person holding your best friend's hand, and it can happen to you. I've been that person once already. This continues to happen every weekend. It will happen to somebody else. I have no doubt of that. It's inevitable. I'm here with these amazing people to ask you to join us in preventing people from causing these types of events in order to prevent the amount of pain caused by them. Draw the line with drunk driving for us seniors moving forward into the world, and for the lower classes climbing into the ranks at TAMP as well. Let it be us who defines where we make our boundaries, even when the lines themselves get a little blurry. Thank you.
How's it going? It's kind of intense. I want to just kind of bring our mindsets back to reality. What we're trying to do here is encourage you guys to bring out the responsibility to be the people who are not going to drunk drive. Who are not going to be the person at the party who's like, "Hey, I think I'm good now. I'm just going to have a glass of water. I'm good." No, figure something else out. There's other paths. So I just want you to think about that before I go over some details. Just bring out the responsibility in yourself. Just this weekend coming up, just be that kid who's responsible with them. So some details. Nick did a pretty good description of one of the most memorable things. The sound of metal sucks. It sucks. It was just two giant Coke cans, just clank, as loud, through a megaphone in your ears. And then I heard, the metal spinning wheel just boom, 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 rolling off the road. And then I kind of woke up and there's Nick next to me, my car's all destroyed, and right there's a cop. It's not the first thing I wanted to see, back then. It was all right. He was standing there, me and Nick are just we're moaning, we were swearing profusely. It was bad. We were screaming, and the cop's "Stay in the car." And at this point we're the car's smoking, kind of on fire a little bit. Doors won't open. Everything's it looks like the car's about to blow up. So I'm like, "Nick, don't listen to him. Get out the car." And we crawl out the windows with our adrenaline ledge, and then we make it about 5 feet. I don't even know my foot's broken at this point. And we make it 5 feet. Then we get on the side of the road, and it's just ugh. And I was screaming. I thought every one of my ribs was broken in half and stabbing into my organs. At this time, it was very small thoughts. I was asking everyone to call my dad. And that's because when I first started driving, my dad, he taught me everything. An important lesson he told me is that cars are killing machines. He's like, "Car, what's a car?" I was like, 4 wheels on the road. Cars are killing machines, is what he tells me. That's always stuck in my head. And then in those, moments when I thought I was gonna die, I was ready to leave. I was telling people to call my dad. I was telling the stupid cop, "Call my dad, bring him up." It was the stupid cop, so of course I never did it. But You know, but even the firemen, I was like, the people in the ambulance, I was in the stretcher, and that's when I really thought I was going to die, because I was spread out, and I had my neck brace on, and I felt everything, and I was like, whoa, and I was ready to go, and I was like telling them, call my dad so I can tell him I love him. I was ready to leave. But they had me, I was safe in the end, it was all good, but it was scary. I cried my eyes out when I saw Kaylin. I was like, what's up? And just bawled. Saw Nick the next day, just cried. Went back to Mill Valley, cried. I thought I was gonna die. Die. Dead. That's not enough to stop you guys from drink driving, Just take a pledge. I want you guys to read. I want you guys to tell yourself, I'm not gonna do this. Just be the next step. It's not cool. It's not cool. I have friends. I had friends. They would come and I'd be like, damn, I really need to go home and sleep in my bed tonight. And I know this kid has put down 5 beers, 3 shots. And he comes to me and he's like, you need a ride? That happens. Here, this school, your friends. Everyone does that. We have those friends who drink drive. It's not okay. Adults. It happens a lot. I don't need, I was changed after this accident. I didn't even think about it like that. It took me almost dying to get it in my head. It shouldn't take that. It's literally one decision. Drink tonight, drive tonight. There's no combination. But kids in Mill Valley, sometimes it's a hard difference, but you guys in this room, I just want to thank you so much for coming in and signing your name and just listening to us. I know it's depressing, but I want you to look at the positive outcome. Tomorrow, when you wake up, different person? Do you have your license? Does anyone, underage drinking is so, bad for you already. But you get the privilege to have your license legally, and people push those boundaries and drink, put your friends' lives, families' lives. What if my dad woke up the next morning and I was gone? What if your parents woke up and you were gone and they had to go to your funeral? That is a parent's worst nightmare. It's your decision. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Emma. I did not witness the accident, but I had pulled up and the cops had already closed off the road. I was trying to drive my friend home and I had to take the other route, and I could just hear sirens, and I knew that something terrible was wrong. And I had this terrible feeling that for some reason my brother was there, and we couldn't get in touch with him. He wasn't answering his phone. We had no idea where he was. We could see that his phone was right where I had seen that there was an accident, but I didn't know if he was a part of it. So I had this terrible, terrible feeling. I couldn't go to sleep until he got home. And after the accident happened and I heard that they were okay, I wrote this poem about it, because I think it's something that needs to stop. And yeah. I take another shot to the head, down a swig of the fifth, ignoring all the warnings they said. Because there's no fun in worrying what if. So I take another shot of the fifth. And it's cool because when I'm with my homies, we're invincible. No parties uncrashable when you've got no principle. Introducing the ILLEST crew that there could ever be. Hopping from one house to the next, even if we're too drunk to see. Because there's no cool in consequence, no fun in fear. Want to make all those statistics and sob stories disappear? Pop the bottle, down the beer. But even a good night comes to an end. It's a wrap, but first I gotta drive home my friends. Stuff them all in the car, they better stay down. The law is practically begging us to break down. And I'm swerving and I'm skirting like I can't control. Vision blurred, almost blinded, headed straight towards the pole. Spin the wheel, now I see headlights pointing straight at me. This is it. 1, 2, 3. Goodbye to the crew that's as cool as can be. Glass shatters and pierces, our windshields collide. Figures dancing, shape-shifting, my eyes open wide. Flying high, then hitting pavement, choking. Blood and fumes, now our only fragrance. And it's over. In an instant, my wreck of a life. Unable to complete, I grew up to be a car crash on repeat. I thought I held the world in the palm of my hands. Now they're shackled together, about to take the stand. All my life, I'll lose the fight to shake the sins I wear stuck to my chest like a name tag I cannot hide. Must look in the eyes, every friend, lover, boss, relative, even stranger, introducing my middle name as Danger. My charges? Well, they were as follows. No changing the past, no future for a convict, no mercy for a murderer. You think I look like a walking tombstone? Yeah, well, I'd rather be one. With every sip, I sign my own death certificate. Because empty bottles and bones paved that road I was taking, so I'll always know that motto I used to vibe with not so long ago. Take one more shot to the head. Down a swig of the fifth, ignoring all the warnings they said. Because there's no fun in worrying what if. So down another swig of that fifth.
I'm gonna wrap this up. The last thing we have for you today, we're hoping to have an impact going forward, right? All of you here today, we're asking you to take a pledge. You signed in when you came in, but there are sheets out in the lobby, lined sheets of paper for you to sign your names. If you sign the sheet, you're taking this pledge that I'm about to read to you, saying that you'll never drink and drive, and you'll have each other's backs. And that's what we're hoping to do for Tam High, and of course the world, but for right now, Tam High. And then the other thing that's cool about that sheet is we are going to have some ceramics kids making a sculpture that is going to be placed in the BPL of a steering wheel. You'll see it. It should be done in a couple weeks. It's going to be in the BPL. It'll have this pledge at the bottom on a plaque. Everyone who signs that sheet, their initials will be put into the side of it, and this will live on. So here's the pledge that you're taking. I pledge to take responsibility for the safety and well-being of myself, my peers, my family, my school, and my community by never getting behind the wheel of an automobile when intoxicated. I understand that it is just as much my duty to prevent those around me from drunk driving as it is to prevent myself from doing so. I'm committed to putting an end to any and all drunk driving in our community and at Tam High. Sheets are in the lobby. Sign your name. It means the world to us. Thank you guys for coming.
Before you leave, though, before you leave, I need to do another huge round of applause for Kaylin, Thomas, Ben, Emma, Connor, and Nick right now for an incredible presentation.